So noted.
Everyone should have received their minutes. If there's no changes, could I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're going to go straight into the official action. Consideration of nominees for commissioner term beginning January the 1st, 2016. I want to recognize Commissioner Anderson for the nominating report.
Thank you. The nominating committee has gone through the various things that we have to go through in order to get to the point of nominating 5 names for the board. We started with our first meeting back in September. We had advertisements in the newspaper as we normally do. We had applicants. We've gone through those applicants and have interviewed. We picked 6 to interview, and we have 5 names that we would like to recommend to the board today for consideration by the mayor. As everyone knows, so we will make those recommendations. Then she has 45 days within which to pick someone who will take a seat in January. The 5 names that we are recommending to the board are Jerry Askew, Keith Carver, Wade Davies, Randy Gibson, and Ford Little. And I would like to move that we accept those 5 names to be submitted to the mayor.
You've heard the recommendation from the nominating committee. I would like to ask Mark Walker, the board secretary. Oh, did we not get a second?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark, would you distribute the ballots, please?
Commissioners, excuse me, as a reminder, you do obviously vote by written ballot. Please remember to sign your ballots when you have finished voting. And if you can see on the ballot, you can select from those recommended by the nominating committee, any other applicant, or you may write in a candidate if you wish. And as Commissioner Anderson said, the names of the 5 individuals receiving the majority of votes will be submitted to the mayor. We will now begin the arduous process of tallying the votes. Commissioners, the names of the 5 individuals receiving the majority of the votes are Jerry Askew, Keith Carver, Wade Davies, Randall Gibson, and Ford Little.
Thank you, Mark. These 5 names will be submitted to the mayor, who will select one to nominate the city council. And I want to thank the nominating committee for their work in conducting this process this year. Jennifer?
Commissioners, I recognize Julie Childers. As you know, we have system updates annually, and Julie will do the wastewater system update today.
Thank you.
I think it didn't get turned on. We're good? Okay, I am going to be giving the annual update for wastewater, and I'm going to be talking about the fact that we have transitioned from our PACE-10 program into Century 2 for wastewater. Just a reminder, the way we got the name PACE-10, it came from our partners acting for a cleaner environment, and the 10 came from the 10 years it was going to take for us to complete the collection system project. The total cost is $650 million, and the logo that you see here today is probably the last time you're going to see it at a board presentation, because we are officially retiring that logo and trying to retire it out of our vocabulary too, but that'll be As PACE-10 becomes Century 2 for wastewater, I'd like to kind of contrast between the 2 programs. PACE-10 was a regulatory program. We had certain prescribed projects that we had to do, including 134 collection system projects, which are all complete, 6 wastewater storage tanks, and the Phase 1 upgrades at both Kawaki and Fourth Creek. In contrast to that, Century 2 is a proactive program. We are going to continue the rate of replacement on our sewer at 2% of the system, or 25 miles per year, and it will incorporate the remaining consent decree tasks that we have not completed yet. So this graph shows what we still have left on the consent decree. December of next year, we need to have all of our system-wide cleaning and assessment done. And you can see the percentage there, we're very close on all those, so we should easily be able to achieve that deadline. Also in December of 2016, we have our final report due on the collection system projects. And an important part of that is the development of our infrastructure rehabilitation program, or IRP. And anywhere you see IRP, you can just as easily put in there Century 2 wastewater. IRP is EPA's name for it. We're calling it Century 2 wastewater. The next few things to do are in our plant upgrades, Fourth Creek in June of 2018, and then Kauai by June of 2021. And then the final consent decree closeout will be in 2021. So to kind of contrast between Phase 10 and Century 2, Phase 10 was designed mainly to address wet weather issues. Overflows were the problem at that time. As we move into Century 2, or the IRP, we'll continue to address wet weather issues as they arise, but now we have the benefit of all the information and inspections that we've done over the past 12 years, where we can also look at condition assessment when we're prioritizing projects. So we look at situations where we may have deteriorated manholes or lines, in addition to the capacity that they can carry. So this chart shows the ways we're going to, and the tools we're going to use to prioritize projects going forward. On the left-hand side, there are various system issues, including infiltration and inflow, debris in the pipe, capacity issues, and so on. On the right are the assessment tools that we're going to use going forward to develop our projects. And I'll have a slide on each one of those in the next few minutes. So for the problem of infiltration and inflow, which is basically rainwater that enters into the pipes, we use our flow monitoring program. Basically, you have a large basin such as this. This is in the Western Avenue McCamey area, and it gets divided into mini basins. Everything from this mini basin flows to a low point. Where a low point is where we put our monitors. And the monitors stay in place for weeks or months, going through several rain cycles. And that helps us know how the system responds when we have a rainfall event. So after that, our consultant takes all that information, does some calculations, and gives us maps that show where we need to focus our efforts. So for instance, in this basin, we have some areas with lower infiltration, and that's in the light blue and the green. And a moderate infiltration rates are in the yellow, but the areas we really need to focus are the pink and the dark red. So that helps us know where to add on projects. Now we do go around the system on a 5-year cycle, so we've already been around twice, and kind of in the middle of our 3rd cycle right now on flow monitoring. Another tool that we use after we get the flow monitoring information is our hydraulic modeling. And we've had a hydraulic model in place for many years. It's on the computer, and basically it can give us information such as this graph here. What we're looking at here is the side view, as if you could look underground. This is a 24-inch pipe, and the manholes are shown with these vertical lines. What this particular model is showing is that under future conditions, we added rainfall flow into this and also looked at future 2025 flow conditions. It shows that the pipe will completely fill and will start surcharging up into the manholes and eventually have an overflow at a low point down here. So this is a future condition, not what's happening today, but it allows us to get prepared and be ready to have projects in advance of this condition. In this particular case, we would probably look at either upsizing the pipe or adding liners upstream to keep the infiltration from getting into the system in the first part, or sometimes both. Our blockage abatement program is intended more to address our dry weather SSOs. As you can see, we've been able to drive our SSOs down over the past several years by addressing things such as roots, debris, and grease that get into the line. About 10% of our system is on the blockage abatement program right now. And what that means is that rather than just the once every 10 to 12 years looking at these particular areas, since we know they're problem areas, we go back a lot more frequently and do flushing or root cleaning and inspection to make sure that they're still clear. So the intention is not for something to stay permanently on blockage abatement, but basically be on there until such time as we can do the rehabilitation, and then it moves out of the blockage abatement program. Overflow abatement is intended to address chronic overflows. And by that, we mean overflows that occur multiple times within a certain vicinity. About 500 yards is what we use. As you can see, we have been able to drive the chronic SSOs down as well, to the point where in this current year, we're expected to have 0. And that will be our goal going forward, is to have no chronic overflows in our system anymore. This helps us in pinpointing areas where there's needs to be a capital project or sometimes increased maintenance in order to achieve that goal. Physical inspection is what we've been doing around our system, and we're just about finished with our first cycle. So we're going to be on a 12-year cycle. It includes manhole inspection, pipe inspection, as well as smoke testing. This particular picture here shows root intrusion coming into a pipe. It's entering in through a joint that may be leaky, and if you leave the roots untreated or uncut, then they will continue to grow. It's a great place for roots to be. It has moisture and it has nutrients, so that's an attraction for a reason. So we do keep these cut out and avoid problems with roots and debris getting caught on it. As part of our physical inspection, we also do a special allocation for trunk line assessment, and we're getting close to being finished with this as well. We look at 12 inches enough as our trunk lines because they're the more critical lines. They carry much more flow and serve more customers. So we want to give a special effort to looking for these. Mainly what we're looking for is corrosion in the pipes. This can occur on older concrete pipes like this one here, but also on metallic pipes as well. You can see at the top some of the concrete has fallen away. It's allowed this gasket to fall down into the flow line, and there's some rebar exposed up here as well. This trunk line has actually already been replaced. It was in the Lowe's Creek area, and it was replaced last year. I had mentioned a couple of times that we want to continue with our goal of 25 miles per year, and the black line here represents that goal. That's been in place since the beginning of Phase 10. And you can see from the green line that we've been able to follow that fairly closely. In the last few years, we've concentrated more on our neighborhood sewers, the 8-inch pipe, which has allowed us to do a few more miles and get a little bit ahead. But also, as I mentioned, the trunk lines are coming up. We'll have a heavier emphasis on trunk lines for the next few years. Those cost more per foot, and so we'll probably end up doing a few less than 25 miles, which will bring our line back more with our target. So we're looking at the long-range cumulative effect of having the 25 miles per year. And the way we came up with that is basically 2% of the system with a 50-year life. That translates to replacing all of your system over that 50-year time period. This graph gives a view of the impact of small levels of investment over time and how they can really affect the overall condition of your system. When we started Phase 10 in 2004, 75% of our system was made up of older pipe types, and this is clay and concrete. Those pipe types were discontinued, no longer put in our system, around 1970 or so. 10 years after that, with our investment in the system, we changed that mix to 50-50. And 10 years more from there, we'll be more at the 30-70 mark. If we keep on at that rate, we'll have all the clay and concrete removed from our system by the year 2040. And even once we get to 2040, we won't be finished because then some of that plastic and ductile iron pipe that we installed in the 70s will be of age to be replaced again. So it's not a program that ever ends. This is a long-range view of the entire wastewater capital program from the beginning of Phase 10 all the way to what we're anticipating to close out in fiscal 21. Early in the system, we were spending some money on planning, which is the light blue bars. We also did our 6 wastewater storage tanks, and the cost for those are shown in the yellow bars. We were ramping up on our collection system, which is a combination of the blue and green bars. Once we got around here, we were doing our phase 1 upgrades at our plants. Right now, we're in a time between phase 1 and phase 2 plant upgrades. You can see we're kind of leveling out around $25 million a year on our collection system. We expect that to continue going forward. And then we're getting ready to ramp up for our phase 2 plant upgrades through the end of the consent decree. So as I mentioned, we finished phase 1 and phase 2 on the plants. We have we finished Kauai phase 1 and Fourth Creek phase 1, and we're getting ready to ramp up for the phase 2 on the plants as well. We also have some plant projects that are not consent decree related, and we'll have more of those going forward. At Fourth Creek, we have electrical system improvements coming up, and then at our smaller plants, East Bridge and Loves Creek, we have disinfection improvements coming up in the next few years. Also wanted to mention some of our major collection system projects coming up. Multi-utility projects, these are usually the higher profile projects that involve more than just KUB. The downtown Century 2 phase 3, we're finishing up on phase 2. Phase 3 will be starting towards the beginning of the year. TDOT will also be starting up in the next few months their Alcoa Highway project. And that is a multi-utility project as well that will involve wastewater and our other 3 utilities. The Cumberland Avenue project, we're in the middle of that one right now. It will continue on for some time to come. And then we have the trunk line projects that I talked about. We've already identified several that are coming up in the next few years. The first one being Wise-Garber. That's generally between Middlebrook and I-40. Then we have one at Mitchell Street. That's in the First Creek drainage basin. And then Williams Creek, and that trunk line is located near the MBW water treatment plant. We've seen this chart for many years. This is the rolling average of overflows. And you can see that over time, the general trend for the dry weather, which is in red, and the blue, which is the wet weather, has generally been to be decreasing, especially the wet weather. You can see that's at a very low level. So in summary, KUB has met all of its requirements to date from the EPA. We're well set to meet all the requirements going forward. And as we transition from phase 10 into Century 2 for wastewater, we're going to continue the same environmental focus that phase 10 had. And at the same time, this will be a long-term sustainable infrastructure improvement program for the future. One thing we're very surprised and pleased to see a few months ago was that EPA had singled us out to do a article. They did an article on the phase 10 program itself, and I'll just read an excerpt from it here. KUB has demonstrated a serious commitment to address its long-standing sewage overflow problems by implementing the Partners Acting for a Cleaner Environment Sewer Improvement Program and meeting major consent decree milestones. KUB's efforts have resulted in a dramatic 82% drop in SSOs between 2003 and 2014. So it's great to get that recognition and to be singled out for the efforts that we've made and the investment that our customers have made in our system. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Can you go back 2 slides to where you were showing that right there? That's great, and for those of us who were here from the beginning, it's amazing, and appreciate everything you all have done to make it happen. So technically, are we still under the decree until? Okay. Do we still have to make our monthly? Is it monthly reports? Quarterly reports? Do we still have to do that during all that time? And I take it by the quote that they're happy with our, particularly I guess wet weather SSOs results.
I will say we have come a long way. We enjoy a much improved relationship with our regulators than we had in 2003. Thanks to Julie and everybody at KUB who's worked on this effort.
So even if we get the 0, we still have to give them until, is it till the leasing,
Yeah.
when we start, it'll come.
Seriously, it reflects a lot of work. It takes a lot of attention to detail and doing the right thing to manage these projects. And everybody here at KU's worked hard on that. And speaking of that, we can't do it all manually. We have to have the support of technology to do that. We talk a lot about Century 2, and you know that's our 4 business lines, our 4 systems, but we really have a 5th system that we don't talk to you a lot about, but we're going to today. That's our information technology system. Mark Kenner is the Director of the Information Services Department, and he's going to lead off with an introduction and really lay the foundation for the presentations today. But if any of you have ever been through the implementation of new software, you know how difficult that is, how challenging it is, and what kind of leadership is required to do that successfully. So we actually have just completed 2 of those implementations, and the ladies who led that effort are going to present to you today too. So I'll turn it over to Kenner, and then you can introduce the other speakers.
Okay. So I'm very excited to be here, as our Michelle Wilson and Tiffany Martin, to share with you how our IT projects are making our organization more efficient and how it benefits KUB and also benefits our customers. But before I start talking about a few of the projects, I do want to start with how we govern and how we manage our IT projects. There's an oversight body that ensures that we're working on the most important projects, those projects that bring the most value and the most benefit to our organization and to our customers. That oversight body also ensures that we balance our resources, financial and people, across those projects, and also make sure those projects are balanced across the organization so that we serve the part of the organization that focuses on customer relationship, the part of the organization that focuses on the operations of the utility system, and then also the corporate part of the organization. And the final thing the oversight body does to govern these projects is work with our project managers, Michelle and Tiffany, to mitigate risk. So once every 2 or 3 weeks, Michelle and Tiffany join the oversight body and answer the same 4 questions over and over and over again. Are we on schedule? Are we on budget? Is our scope still the same? And what are you worried about? So I start the presentation with the KD blueprint, which I know you are all familiar with. I've highlighted a couple of the shared values. The first one I've circled really speaks to that oversight body and making sure that we're working on the most important things for the organization and for the customer and doing the ones that bring the most value. The second shared value that I've highlighted is at the heart of every IT application implementation. It's using technology and innovation to increase the efficiency of our processes and increase the value of our services. The other thing I want to point out using this slide is the orange section, the keys to our success. This year, we've worked on projects that touch every one of those boxes. We've spanned the organization. To illustrate that, this is a sampling of some of the things that we've worked on this year. It's not all of them, but it's some of the more significant ones. The projects highlighted in blue on the left-hand side, bullets 2 through 5. Those are the ones that Michelle and Tiffany managed for us. So I'm not going to spend any more time here, but I'm happy to come back to this and talk about any of these projects at the end of the presentation. So let me talk about one of them that we're I talk with my hands. This is KUB Apps. So KUB Apps is a framework. It's an employee portal, but it's a framework that we use to surface processes and information out of our enterprise applications. So things like CIS, our customer information system, asset management system, our HR application or system, our financial management system, a geographic information system, all these enterprise systems that we need to run the business. We use KUB Apps, that employee portal, as a way to surface that information in a simple, mobile, and a secure manner so that we present that to the employees in a very intuitive, and the phrase we like to use is ridiculously intuitive. If we have to train, teach, or provide instruction on how to use this application, and feel like we missed the mark. We've got several people that help keep us in line that are here today. But the intuitive part, if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the home page for KUB apps, the landing page. And if the employee clicks this employee box, either on their phone, their tablet, their desktop, widescreen monitor, doesn't matter. This is a responsive design application or framework, so it fits every screen size as if it were designed for that screen size. So if they click on this employee box, the screen on the right-hand side shows up. So you can see how intuitive it is, how easy it is, and we surface that information out of our enterprise applications in a very simple, clean manner. One example that I want to go into, this is our engineering gas construction inspection application. So when we do gas construction, the inspectors use this application to do their inspections. It is one of the many applications that we service through KUB apps, through that framework. So the inspector goes out to the field, they click on a job site they want to go to. It gives turn-by-turn navigation, visual and voice to the job site. Once on the job site, they can use the camera on their phone or their tablet. It integrates that into the application. They can also use voice to text. They can speak what they see, and it creates the notes. And then, of course, they fill out their inspection form on the application, but it keeps it all together, date, time stamped, sends it back to the office in real time. So Josh Johnson, who was here last month, I think talked about the gas South Loop project. Josh uses this application to keep up with his inspectors and to keep up with the work and the quality of the work that's going on. The value that this brings us is we get that real-time information back to the office, better visibility into the field. We're using the native technology that's in those smart devices today. We've smartly woven that into our application. We're getting better data, inspection data than we've got before. We've always had inspectors. They've done a good job, but they worked with us on this application, and we've provided them something that's tuned for how they want to work and how they work, and it's even enhanced the quality and the richness of the data that we get back. And the fourth thing that this has done is it's eliminated all the paper and back office administrative tasks at the end of the day, stitching together inspection forms, notes, photographs they may have taken with a digital camera, packaging all that up together and saving it. It's all done seamlessly and automatically through this application. This is our current website. We had this website, we first deployed it in 2006, and then 2011 or 12, we upgraded the hardware underneath it, the infrastructure, but we essentially left all the look and feel, the design, the fabric alone. So this has been in the internet world for, out on the internet for 9 years, which is a long time in the web to have something static. So it's time for a change. And before I move off this slide, I want to point out a few things. There's tabs across the top. There's a bunch of links across the top. There's the 4 boxes with the VA links and the hot topics and tools that have links embedded in them. There's links at the bottom. There's a lot of information on this page. Where we're heading is a website that looks significantly different. We're after a very clean, elegant, warm, and welcoming website. It is customer-centric, so that the processes and the information that the customer most often wants is prominently displayed on this page. All of the pages, all of the 28 customer interaction transactions that we have on the website are all being redesigned to follow this same pattern, a very intuitive, simple, clean user interface. And again, from that customer-centric perspective. We're just starting this. We're coming out of the design phase of the project, and probably, we don't have a date yet, but mid to late spring, probably more likely late spring, to Michelle Wilson, who managed our financial management application, as well as our Hyperion budgeting and planning application. She's going to take us through her journey. She implemented that and led that team. She'll explain what she did and how we benefit from that project. Wilson.
Thank you, Mark. Finance and human resource applications are not the most attention-grabbing tools at KUB. We can't even pretend to compete with the new website. But they are essential to meet our basic obligations to both our employees and also to make sure we meet our reporting requirements, including our audited financial statements. KUB has a long tradition in making wise investments in technology, and Tiffany and I are both pleased to tell you that with the additional $7.3 million investment to upgrade the HR and finance applications, as well as implement a brand new budget planning application, we were able to enhance usability, reduce redundant data and third-party tools, but perhaps most significantly, we were able to increase productivity across the organization at multiple levels. The core purpose of all of these applications is to assimilate and report on accurate information in the most efficient way possible. The financial management system was first implemented over 10 years ago. It has some unique features to meet some unique requirements that we have as a construction-based for-service utility. Features that include a robust allocation tool, which works efficiently and automated overnight to maintain 4 unique sets of financial statements. A robust depreciation calculation tool for over $2.2 billion in assets that have varied useful lives and depreciation rates. We have automated daily bank reconciliations for over 3,500 transactions a month. And we also maintain our storerooms and our inventory process for about 4,600 active items over 4 storerooms for 4 systems. But I'll tell you, we had a unique opportunity that we had a strong foundation when we started these projects. And it left more time to really look at process optimization and take advantage of 2 new technologies in the financial areas, including contract management and investment management. Much like some of the efficiencies gained with the mobile or KUB apps for inspections, we were able to improve the paper-centric process of purchasing goods and services at KUB. We were shuffling a lot of paper and emails around, and with PeopleSoft FMS, we're able to attach invoices, specs for the purchase of goods and services. You can even attach an email to a document, giving the user on the other end just a few clicks, and they can access that information. It's reduced a lot of time in producing paper documents and retrieving paper documents across the board. Our contracts had previously been housed in a third-party tool that wasn't visible across the organization, so we took this opportunity to implement PeopleSoft Contract Management. Our contract specialists can very easily generate a new contract using predefined templates. We have automated notifications and alerts, which help them manage the approaching expiration dates. But it also provides visibility to those departments that are leveraging those contracts. In our investment area, we were managing KUB's investments through a variety of spreadsheets, doing a lot of manual financial transactions and journals. We've been able to automate that and provide push-button reporting as well as automated financial transactions, leaving our cash managers with more time to interpret that data rather than assimilate that data. I'm really excited about our new budget and planning tool. Historically, KUB's budget and planning process took place in several spreadsheets and access databases across this organization. And with Century 2, it really highlighted the need for an enterprise-wide application to handle the size and complexity of our annual budgets. We've improved the quality and timeliness of data, and we're also able to provide some visibility for our managers for decision making. The Hyperion is a very well-known tool in the industry, and it's usually due to its robust reporting features. We have made a big impact on this organization by transitioning from monthly reporting to daily on-demand reporting. We've really made a wise investment to have visibility into how we're managing our capital projects. That visibility can be reached from the budget coordinator looking at that all the way up to the manager, where they can see the dollars budgeted versus the dollars incurred within a few clicks of the mouse. We've seen tremendous impact with removing manual processes used to generate our monthly reports. That was a process that used to take 2 or 3 business days, and we've reduced that down to a couple of hours. I anticipate that in the coming months ahead, we'll see continued productivity gains as we use the tool for the first time for the FY17 long-range plan. And now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Tiffany, who will look at the human resource applications.
Thank you, Michelle. As Michelle said, the human resources and financial areas aren't the most exciting, but today I'm going to spend some time just talking to you about the human resources information application and why this upgrade had so much impact on KUB and what benefits we gained from that. As you can see, obviously, the HR system is utilized to basically manage the employee recruitment through retirement process. And today I'm just going to focus on some of those things that really weren't as efficient previously and show you how we've gained from doing this upgrade. The first I'll start with is obviously the thing that's most important is ensuring that we are compensating our employees on a regular basis for the hard work that they do. So one of the gains from this project is it allowed us to continue to produce accurate and timely paychecks and tax statements for over 900 employees. And so that's something that we're very proud of because we aim to do that bi-weekly and do a good job at it. So we were able to continue to do that, as well as we're able to distribute employee earnings across our 4 divisions and across multiple projects, which is very important as we need to send that information to our financial information system for accurate financial reporting. In addition to that, we're able to administer our competitive benefit plans through using this system. But more importantly, what we've gained from the new tools is that we've been able to increase human resources professionals' productivity throughout the day because they're not doing inefficient processes as they once were, and we simplify the reporting functionality as well. One area where we were able to make some improvements is we were able to reduce the amount of segmented systems we were using by doing this implementation. Previously, the HR functions were not managed in one system, but there were multiple systems that our IT staff had to manage, as well as our HR professionals had to enter and to be able to process daily activities. The recruiting process is one area where you can see some definite improvements. If you look there at the top, the previous recruiting process required 7 different systems to simply do a hiring transaction. We've reduced that to basically one application, PeopleSoft, and then we've leveraged some of the KUB apps tools as well as part of that process, which is a tremendous change from a productivity standpoint for the recruitment staff as they're walking through this process. But more importantly, for the applicant, it's improved our applicant experience quite a bit in that they don't have to be managed through all of these pieces of the puzzle, and we have reduced errors with keying because we weren't keying redundant information and making mistakes as a result of that. One other area that we improved, or several other areas we improved as part of this implementation, is we've been able to automate some of our processes. One good example of that is previously in our benefits area, when an employee retired, a benefits administrator would need to remember those pending retirements, move that pending retiree medical benefit plan to the retirement plan versus our current active plan. Now the system does that for us. So when that process of the retirement happens, the system automatically knows how to move the benefit programs for that individual. So that's a big improvement from what we were doing previously, and that we had a stack of papers here to say, hey, this is what I process at the end of the month. Now that goes away completely. Other things that you have seen already today is the KUB app solution was used to surface a lot of the transactions that an employee would do inside the application mobilely. So they don't have to be at their desk every day to put in a leave request or to see the employee directory or to approve a transaction where many of our managers would be in a meeting or need to approve time, but couldn't get away to their desk to do that. So we've been able to expose that through the KUB app solution that Mark referenced today. And our plan is to use that more as the HR system grows. Another big enhancement for us is the enablement of employee and manager self-service. Previously, employee transactions that happened that were HR related required an employee to actually come to the HR department or contact an HR administrator. They now can log into that system and make updates to their W-2 form, updates to their direct deposit distribution or accounts, and just simply see more information about themselves. One big benefit for managers, if you look here, I've created a fictional employee for you to kind of see what managers view today. But if you look here, managers with just a few clicks can now look at basic employee information such as contact information, employment status information, service information, salary and career history information are just some of those examples. In addition, they're able to see much more, and that makes decision making about employees much more efficient because they're able to get that access with, as I said, a few clicks, whereas previously they had to call an HR administrator and wait for that information to get to them. So we're really trying to focus on helping the users outside of the HR function as well, and I think we were successful in doing that. One other area where we saw some improvement is centralizing our training function. It is critical for us to ensure that our employees are trained and prepared for the work that they perform, especially in our gas system, where we're heavily regulated and we're required to notify employees of specific training requirements, offer those requirements, and then report on that they are fully trained for their job. So this implementation allowed us to do all of those things in a centralized system, which made it much easier for us to be able to report that information as well as allow our employees to know what they're required to do. And basically, these are all the major things that we have gained through the human resources implementation. There are many more, but these are the things that we're most proud of. And I'm going to end and give the presentation back to Mark for the conclusion.
Well, there's just one final slide. Every year, just in front of our annual long-range budget planning process, the oversight body for IT applications looks out into the future and tries to assess what our needs are going to be and looks at our application portfolio and figure out where the gaps are and try to stage projects to be in front of the needs of the organization. We also balance these across paying attention to capital, to our resources, whether it's financial or people, to just ensure that we're not overtaxing the organization. The different colors on the bars on this Gantt chart view, the blue, we're already working on those, which makes a little sense since we're in that fiscal year 15, 16 year. The ones in the lighter blue shade, or the darker blue, we're already working on. Lighter blue shade, just things that are projected in the future. I will say we're probably 6 weeks away from getting into this and projecting out where we need to be. So every year this thing gets turned on its ear and we reset the day. I do want to point out a few things. As we look to the future, there's several things that are really on our mind. One of them is these two initiatives, the Grid Modernization Initiative and the Customer Engagement Initiative. Both of those have heavy IT components. So a lot of our staff, a lot of our energy over the next few years will be focused on serving those two initiatives from an IT perspective. The other thing I want to point out, you can see KUB apps. We continue to feel that pressure of the mobile workforce and being sure that we're serving the needs of the organization to enable employees to be free and to move and to work and to give them access to information in that simple, mobile, and secure manner. So we project many different projects flowing into that KUB apps as a vehicle that we'll use to serve that. And the final thing I want to touch on is that second one from the bottom, IT security. You see several projects across the years. We never get too far away from IT security. just this year, we've had, at our email system, we've rejected 5 million email messages that were spam. We've taken 8,000, just this year, calendar year today, 8,000 email messages that had malicious content attached to that email that we've stripped out of that email on its way into KUB. And then just this month, at our perimeter, at our firewall, we have 2.5+ million events at the firewall every month. And an event is just traffic, data packets going back and forth, traversing that firewall. So 2.5 million. Of that 2.5 million, 46,000 of those events were either exploit attempts or some harmful, malicious attachment to something trying to come through the firewall. 46,000 of those in just the month of September. And I've lost all my statistics, but it never ends. We've got 2 full-time senior staff members that this is all that they do, is help keep our data safe and our system safe and our customers' data safe and secure. But that work never, ever stops. So with that, I want to wrap up by just tying it back to where we started, the KUB blueprint. I hope it's come through that when we make decisions and our design decisions, we make those with that value in mind. What's bringing the most value to KUB, the most benefit to KUB and to our customers. And the other thing we try to do is really embrace that using technology and innovation to make our processes more efficient and bring more value to our services. So with that, I'll close and take questions.
Before Mark sits down, I want to acknowledge that when he talks about it being customer friendly and making sure that people can do it without a lot of trouble, he's actually talking about me. So I'm the test case, and they really do try to do that very well. And another comment, the 2 ladies who presented, they don't work in IT. Tiffany worked in the HR department, and Michelle worked in the accounting department. Those were users who were transferred over to lead this project. So, as Mark said, the users' needs were inside the development and the implementation of the programs. We thank them for that effort. I know it was outside the box for them, but I think they've done a great job, and thank you to Mark.
I have one question. Are we buying the apps that's already on the market, or are we creating them, or do we do a combination?
On everything inside of KUB apps, we created in-house.
Okay, so it's not an own market that actually we're purchasing
No,
it.
we do
We're
use-
actually creating, okay.
That's correct. Now, we do use apps from the App Store or the Google Market. Individually, people use those to make themselves more productive. But what you see through KUB apps, because we're surfacing information out of our application, and it is tuned specifically for the needs of the employee, we spin those applications up pretty quickly. The inspector app that we've looked at, we started on Monday with a meeting with the group that was after that. Actually, Josh Johnson was in that group. That was here last month. On Thursday, we delivered the working prototype of that application. So those, and what the beauty of KUB apps is we've got all this rich business logic, the algorithms, the controls, the validations in these enterprise applications at the base layer. We don't have to build any of that. All we're really doing is surfacing that and providing a presentation for the employee that's simple, mobile, and secure. So it's a pretty quick turnaround to put something